Good afternoon. Welcome to In the Loop's third episode about how corporates can engage with startups. My name is Cristina Tamayo. I'm Business Development Manager at Parallel 18. My main job at Parallel 18 is to run a program called P18 Connect, where we connect our portfolio startups with corporates in Puerto Rico and beyond. If you watched previous episodes of In the Loop, I'm so glad you're back with us. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome and thank you for tuning in. Remember to listen to our first episode of In the Loop, where we deep dived into how P18 Connect came to be and its evolution. It's available on our YouTube channel, as well as our second episode if you're interested. So as a reminder to everyone, every episode of In the Loop features a P18 startup and alumni, a corporate partner that can talk from their experience working together, solving specific, relevant, corporate-related, innovation-related problems by incorporating innovative and tech solutions. Through these conversations, our mission is to keep our corporate partners in the loop of entrepreneurship and technology so that they can move their company forward. So going right into today's topic, even before 2020, a year of many forced changes, corporates were already becoming increasingly innovative by striking up strategic partnerships. One of the many ways business leaders have found to bring innovation into their company and in a quick and seamless manner is by partnering up with smaller but highly innovative companies or startups. P18 Connects works to enhance that process by providing corporates with a curated network of smaller companies ready to adapt their plug-and-play solutions to any of their company's needs. What we've seen through our experience in connecting big companies with startups is that leaders who close their first deal with a startup want to continue working with this type of company. But what does it really take for corporates to commit and invest time towards these efforts? To put it into perspective, at Parallel 18, we've created a guide to corporate startup engagements that summarizes some of the ways partners can ensure successful relationships with startups. And today, we want to bring that guide to life by taking a closer look at a particular case study, Infopaginas, a Puerto Rican media and marketing firm, as a P18 Connect corporate partner that actively engaged with our startups and that actually has recently closed a deal with one of our Gen 8 startups. So it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Mike Anderson, Senior Management Consultant of Infopaginas. Mike, thank you for being here. You're the very first corporate partner to join us in this series, and I'm really, really excited.
Oh, thank you, Christine. Thank you for letting me be your first guest in this category. So Infopanis is a digital marketing company, and our focus is truly trying to help those small, medium-sized businesses and building them like a robust digital presence, but also helping them market themselves into either engage with their clients or their clients engage with them. And the thing that we find is it looks different for every business. There's no cookie cutter solution in the marketplace. So we've really developed what we call very flexible solution bundles, giving these small businesses access to a variety of products and services that they normally wouldn't have access to. And I think what probably most importantly, what we do offer, which is sort of unique in our market, is we give them a dedicated digital marketing expert to work with them for as long as they're a client with us. So that's sort of our what we do here in Puerto Rico. And I think what really important for us is we realize, I think everyone realizes, small businesses are the engine of the economy. And if you look around, they're woefully underserved when it comes to digital marketing. So that's kind of our mission, is to be their champion and deliver them what we call affordable excellence.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. It's great to see, companies dedicated to really helping smaller businesses thrive. And I think that's why our Parallel 18 relationship with Infopaginas has been so great. So before I go in deep dive more into, how corporates and startups effectively engage, and I think in your case, it has been a great example. I want to go a little bit to the beginning. I know Infopaginas from the very beginning of P18 Connect has been seeing startups every cohort or every couple times a year. I know you just came in 2019, but I think maybe like a month or two after you started, we were already communicating and scheduling meetings with startups. So going back to that first meeting with a Parallel 18 startup, what were you looking for then? What were you expecting to find? And how do you think connecting with those startups has helped you, if it has helped you in any way?
Yeah, I had a similar relationship in another country if doing the same sort of thing. So I was familiar with the concept. And what we really were hoping was to find companies or products or startups, entrepreneurial people, through Parallel 18 that we could really jump into their bright ideas and potentially do something that helps us help our customers, helps us launch new products that we could eventually, that obviously we're a for-profit business, so we want to help our business partners, but we want to make a profit at the same time. And we were just looking for, what's the next idea sitting there? Is something that's going to help us from an efficiency, how we deliver our service? Is it something we can add to our round out our product offer into the market? Is it something we can expand our market? Are we potentially leaving a vertical out that we just don't have the right product for? And so I was really just hoping for sort of going in with no expectations other than introduction to different ideas that we probably hadn't even thought of internally.
I think that's great. And I think that's one of the topics that we're going to go into today, which is open-mindedness, flexibility, and kind of seeing this as an opportunity to find creative ways to expand and grow your offering. So I think that's a great way to kind of show everyone what you were going into when you first met startups and what you were thinking of. So thank you so much. I want to just say that anyone in the audience that has questions can go ahead and send them our way. We will be answering questions as we go. So going right into what we think is the steps that corporates need to take to have a successful relationship with our startup. I think the first step is to have the engagement of a decision maker, have the decision maker involved from day one. In this case, that is you, probably. And I think that plays a huge role in your involvement with Parallel 18, but also in your success in working with a startup. I know you closed the deal with a Gen 8 startup, Guardian Systems, and I think a lot of it had to do with your involvement in it. So I would like to take a little bit of time, if you could tell us about that experience, about navigating that experience with a startup and your role in it towards your team, towards the startup.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing for me, what I thought was quite important was I had to have the team involved, the people that were going to help execute the plan if we went forward. So I think that was really step one. And if there was something that I noticed from the previous engagement, was sometimes it was just a couple of people getting involved, getting excited, and then it was difficult to launch things into the company without sort of total buy-in. So and that was the route we were taking here, was getting all the players involved, and we realized probably the hard way that if we're going to bring new products or new ideas into the marketplace, you can either build or you can partner and buy. And we really like the buy partner idea because we've got some scars that, a legacy of scars here, where we tried to be the technology company and building our own app into the marketplace. And you're either really good at digital marketing or you're really good at doing something else. And we're really good at digital marketing. So I don't think there was any resistance from my team. And then we just had to invest in the time to sort of flesh through these ideas, because it's really important that if you're going to bring something into the market, cost and then speed, because an idea is an idea for a minute these days, and you have to jump on them quickly. So that was sort of, it was just to get the buy-in from the team, I think, was the most important, and then get everyone to agree that this is the best go-to-market strategy for us as a company.
Yeah. I think that's a great segue to my next point, which is how do you get that team on board? Because I've seen a lot decision makers have the vision, they have the know-how. Probably some of those scars have hit you directly and you're like, we need to go another route. But how do you get that team excited about working with some external solutions that can really help you innovate? And how do you get them to understand the value of working with, an earlier stage company that maybe doesn't have the experience you're used to, or the structure of a company that you're used to, but definitely has the execution and the vision of innovation that can help you really take your company forward?
Yeah, I think for me anyway, it was starting at the destination, like starting at what if, kind of imagine having a product like this. Forget how we get there, but if we had this offer or this product and we were in the market with this, how would that look as a company? How would that benefit us? Would it help you in sales and from a production perspective, et cetera? And then you just kind of go backwards. And if we all agree that the outcome is really, really where we want to be, that destination is we all agree that's where we want to go, then this is probably the path of least resistance to get there. And I said, this team that I inherited a couple of really strategic, forward-thinking people. So it really wasn't a hard sell for us internally. But again, like I said, it's just getting them involved early and actually, making them really the leader of the project. It's their baby. I'm there as a guide. I'm there to help and support and drive. But overall, each one of them takes one of these ideas and they carry it as their own. And I think you get a lot of buy-in when you do it that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to other cases that I've seen where, if people feel like they have the power and the agency to really take an idea and make it flourish, I think it definitely helps in the implementation of the idea and the actual success of it. So
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. So another really important aspect, we talked about having the decision maker on board, having the team on board, the people that are executing. I think another really important part that you mentioned before is that flexibility, that openness. So sometimes, and I think you and I specifically have talked about this before, like sometimes we see a startup or you see a startup, and because it doesn't immediately align to one of your business models, you think maybe there isn't a fit. When this happened, what role does flexibility and thinking outside of the box play in making this relationship work for both ends?
Yeah, that's really, I totally agree that, we get caught in our lanes of expertise, and it isn't always obvious. And I've had several demonstrations where on the first go around, and you mentioned we've started a relationship with one of the startups, and to be honest, on the very first meeting, it didn't click for me. But but we have to take off our goggles, and I think staying open-minded, and then looking for common ground to see if there is potentially a reason to dive a little deeper into it. I don't think it hurts to take a second, even a third look, and that's probably a mistake that we've made in our past, is we've discounted ideas because we couldn't see the fit. Instead of talking to the people that I've met are super smart, very flexible, adaptable. And, after the original meeting we had, I mentioned with the startup that we're working with, we ended up having 2 or 3 other meetings, and they adapted. And they said, oh, we can course correct here. We can change that. We can product fix this for you. And so that and we were able to take it into the market. And if you had presented that to us, as is, there was no chance we could bring it to the market. So I think flexibility is important, but I also think, it's easy to say it won't work, and it's probably better just to say, let's see how we can make it work.
Yeah, I think that's a good reminder for everyone listening to us and other corporates. Sometimes it takes a couple of times, and sometimes, a 30-minute meeting with a startup isn't enough to really deep dive into the capabilities and the ways that they could expand or maybe evolve to, help your company have a use for their product. And I think something that I mention a lot is that startups are usually very flexible. As you say, they're early stage, so their traction isn't, the highest, but there's a team behind it, a very passionate team, that if they see a fit for it, or if they see that they can help you with their technology, they're probably going to make whatever adjustments, within reason to help you. So I think it's a good reminder for everyone to don't discard things if you think that they won't work. It happened to Mike, and now they've closed a deal and they're really doing really well with this startup. So I think that's a good thing to remember. Another thing, and a good segue to my next point, is that what helped you with this particular startup is communication. Communication is obviously a very important part in any relationship, including business relationships. But it's not only important to be open to hear about and listen to the startups, but also to be really communicative of your needs, of what you want as a company, what you're looking for, what are your 5-year goals or your short-term goals, anything. But I think effective communication between the startup and the corporates, and probably us, probably 18 as the supplier of these startups, is very, very important. So in your case, how open were you and are you to communicating to us, and to the startups, what you're looking for in innovation, and how willing are you to state when a product fits your needs and when it actually doesn't?
Yeah, and I think we're getting better at that, to be honest. I think we've had to kind of make it very clear and communicate very openly, because it's a lot of time invested on your side and our side. And so obviously being very clear and very communicative, I think, is like really super important. And I'd say, like I said, I think we're getting better at it. I think we were probably not as communicative in the very beginning, early days. So why that was a fit or why it's not a fit for us. And then I think the other thing, though, is personally, we seldom dismiss an idea just outright. And I think that's really out of respect for the presenter and the time they've given us that day. And also so we can digest the information, and then we can have a bit of a round table and sort of discuss it in more detail, just to make sure that I wasn't missing something or somebody else didn't miss something. But I do, and I've really appreciated the time you've given us in terms of communicating this, because if you know what we're looking for clearly, then it just allows you to sharpen your focus for us. And that helps us a lot. Anytime we can get in front of an entrepreneur with a great product or a great solution or a great idea, it's beneficial for us all day long. I would do it. And sometimes it's not even just the product, it's the people. You start meeting these really super smart people who have got great ideas, and you're just like, wow, those people are, they bring in a lot to the table. They teach us a lot. So, I think we'll even be more and more communicative, because I think it's very important.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. Infopaginas, even before you were in this role, I mean, it's their relationship with us and how much information we're getting from you guys has evolved a lot. And I think we're at a point where I feel really comfortable recommending startups, because I have a really good sense of what you're looking for. And I think that, again, that has had a very big hand in how your relationship with the startups have been successful, and going forward, how successful they're going to be. I think another aspect of what you're mentioning is that looking for startups and having access to startups and to all of these talented people, it's not easy. Find them on the streets, and they're not you're not necessarily in the same circle. So I think looking for innovative solutions can be a really daunting task. And I think I kind of want to go into how has partnering with us, or a program like us, like an accelerator, helped you in finding, promoting, or even just like in changing the mindset of your team. Like, has this helped you in any way? These interactions with these founders, how has that helped you and your company?
I think it's a good question as well. And I remember I was at a conference, speaking at a conference back in Tel Aviv several years ago. And there was a large digital marketing company in the same conference. And they had been launching these cutting edge products, like way ahead of what we were doing in Europe and Canada at the time, like way ahead. I just didn't understand how they got to where they were so quickly and really first to market in some areas. That was really super impressive. And they introduced me to an accelerator like P18. And there was, for me, it was like, okay, the light turned on. And immediately I was like, okay, I'm 100% behind this. This is a no-brainer for me. So then coming into PR, Puerto Rico, and getting introduced to Parallel 18, seeing how firsthand absolutely dedicated you guys are as a group of helping promote these businesses and help them find investors or partners, it was really refreshing. And then getting introduced to throughout the interactions, there's so many different ideas that I wouldn't even have thought of. And there's products out there. And I remember, just parts of economy that are so very new, like the gig economy, and somebody showing me something that they're doing to connect that. I was like, is that a part of the market that I should be looking at? Is that going to open up our market and find new opportunities that we never ever would have even considered? So you just become exponentially smarter by being involved in this.
Thank you for those words. And I think it's definitely reciprocal. Like, it's definitely a win-win for both of us. The more I'm involved with you and your team, the more I can be helpful, and vice versa. Like, sometimes these startups can even benefit from just meeting with you, even if they don't close a deal. So it's definitely essential for us, and I'm so glad that you find this such a good asset for you. And for those that are listening to us, this is how our relationship works. Basically, is a constant communication of needs, opportunities, and we're constantly looking, because we know those needs and because we know what Infopaginas is looking for. We're always we always have our eyes out for new things and different things that might actually add value to your clients and to your company as a whole. So if you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're always looking for new partners. We're actively looking for new partners. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. So as we're wrapping up, if we have any questions in the chat, just let me know. I want to go over a little bit and first of all, thank Mike so much. I mean, this has been such a fruitful relationship during the pandemic. You closed a deal with a startup. We're so proud of that achievement. So I'm really happy about that. I want to go over really quickly, in a nutshell, what the key points are in our guide to corporate startup engagements. And as I said, decision maker buying, having your mic involved, that's super important. Having those people that are going to execute on board, getting your team on board, not just in the last meeting, but the first meeting, getting them to understand the value of meeting with startups and getting that refreshing, creative mindset. Understanding the importance of flexibility, having an open mind. Startups are always open to do business with corporates. It's just one step for you to be open to doing business with them. Communicate as clearly and effective as possible, and have access to a curated pipeline. We can help you with that for sure. So please reach out to me if you want to learn more about P&T Connect or the companies directly. If you're interested in a partnership, we will be sharing our guide to corporate startup engagements in our live box and in YouTube and when we share this video. So go check it out. Mike, again, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for including me. I appreciate it.
Of course.